What's up, Droners? Brennan Edwards here with Dronr Tech, brought to you by RemotePilot101.com. And we have a special treat for you today, another interview, this time with a friend of mine who I've had the honor to work with, who has flown in everywhere for pretty much everything as a professional drone cinematographer. This guy is a senior to me when it comes to drone cinematography because he's been doing it longer than me. Yeah, I'm saying it. And he does it more than I do too, more consistently. We have Trevor. What's up, Trevor?
Hey, how you doing, Bryson? Great to see you, man. Hear you, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Trevor is. A couple weeks ago, we talked to Jimmy, who's the other owner of Glide Aerials, and that's your company, right?
Yeah. Jimmy and I'm really blessed to have Jimmy as a partner, and we work really well together. We started Glide Aerials in about 2011. You know, back in the days when the Phantom 2s were the big deal. So. We've been blessed to kind of, just fall into a really nice workflow and kind of right time, right place, and just loving what we do. So we're really blessed to be able to kind of play with toys for a living. So,
man, 2011 that predates Phantom 2. That's like Phantom 1 and like soldering. Like you guys were soldering and like.
Yeah,
see, that's the thing. Go ahead.
Oh, and Velcro on the bottom of the thing. There was no gimbals. We were just trying to get anything done. And finally, when the Phantom 2 came out, we all kind of breathed a sigh of relief that we could have some stable footage.
Oh, my gosh. And, the thing is, like, Glide Aerials now is, like, one of the bigger drone cinematography companies, not only in L.A., but also across the country. And that you have, like, can you just give me a couple, like, of shows and stuff? Like, I flew with you guys on was it The Daily Show with James Corden?
Whatever his name is. Late Show with James Corden.
Late Show. That's what I said.
Yeah, we do that. We're regular drone ups on that. We like to do all the big ABC Fox shows. We just did Holy Moly, Flirty Dancing on Fox. We do like a bunch of projects with Gordon Ramsay, 24 Hours to Hell and Back. So we just, as I said, we've been really blessed with the clientele we've had and the productions we shoot, and we've been lucky to be on some really big stuff. So our biggest show, obviously, before this whole COVID thing, was we were on Holy Moly before it got shut down, and it's one of our favorites to work on. So.
Well, that raises a question, because a question I get, because I'm a pro cinematographer as well, and I do a lot of things similar to what you were just saying. But a question I get asked a lot of the times is like, hey, Dronr, like, I want to be a drone cinematographer like you. Like, what can I do to ever start working on sets and doing this? Like, what kind of advice would you give somebody asking to be able to do what you do?
First you just got to have a love for it, right? You really just have to enjoy flying and shooting things, even if it's not for a big show, just something that you enjoy doing. My best plan for anybody out there is just get out there and start shooting. Get out there and see what kind of moves that you enjoy seeing for your eye, and get out there and just practice and fly. And fly, and shoot, and then put that footage out and try to get some feedback. And, as professional drone pilots, we're always happy to say, why don't you smooth out this move a little bit more? Or you can add this into your video that would help it a little bit, and kind of give tips and get feedback. And then probably the best way to get into film is, either you can, Glide Aerials always looks for VOs, and you can kind of get in that way. You could give us a call and see if we're looking for any VOs, and you can kind of start there. Or kind of the best way I found was just to start as a production assistant and see what it's all about, and go in there. And then sometimes you can end up, they might just need a drone and they don't have a guy there, and all of a sudden you're the licensed guy that's on the set and you get a shot, So I think just get out there.
Well, dude, you just dropped a bunch of gems, and I want to clarify for everybody, because Trevor is such a pro that not everybody always knows the terminology. So when he says VO, he means visual observer, and that is every time you fly, regardless if you're flying a Phantom, a Mavic, Inspire, a hexacopter, or, any kind of drone you're flying. The visual observer's entire job is to keep their eye on the drone, so that what happens with that drone in the air, if anything happens in losing signal or any kind of, it's pretty much a safety position. It seems really simple to do, because it's like, just keep your eye on the drone, but it's hard to stay focused at it, to be fully honest, because I've obviously VO'd before, and I'm sure you have. And the other thing is that nobody wants to be the VO, because it's like the base level position in a drone company.
Yeah, I think everybody's got to start somewhere, though. It's like you can't, unless you're like a really seasoned drone pilot with an incredible reel. We're always going to kind of start you there and see see what your skills are, and then move from there. So.
No, I definitely agree. And one of the other things you said that I feel like is really important is having the love for it. I have not met a single drone pilot that wasn't in love with flying. And didn't do it as a hobby before they got into it. Because for me, I started off just doing it as a hobby because somebody wouldn't let me play with their drone. And so I bought my drone and just said, I'm just going to do this and I'm just show them up. And then I found out, it's like, this reminds me a lot of like video games.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is a lot like what I've done and how much I love playing. And I just really got into it and loved just being able to review the footage and see things from a different perspective. And other people started to like it. And I just kind of found my way.
Exactly.
So that leads me to the question for you is like, how actually did you get started? Like, how did you get started in drones and what was your first drone?
It's pretty funny, actually. Like, my buddy who is a film producer, and we live in the same town. I just happened to be home from a job. It was pre-drones, obviously. I was in the production industry as a cameraman, and so I just returned home from a job. And my buddy, I was really tired. I just got off a plane, and my buddy said, "Come down to the beach right now. I got to show you something." And I'm like, "Oh, Lawrence, I'm a little tired right now. I don't really want to come down." He's like, "Just come down to the beach. Trust me." So I dragged my tired butt down to the beach, and he had a Phantom. And he said, "You got to check this out, man." He's like, "This is the future, you know." And I said, "Yeah, whatever. I've heard that before." And so he had this Phantom, and we flew it around, and you know, he had the first. I think it was he actually had a Phantom 2 because he had the first the stabilized gimbal, and he showed me the footage, and I was blown away, you know. And so, I bought one like 3 days later. I went to my wife and I said, "Listen, I'm sorry." And at that point, Phantom 2s, you were dropping like between $2,000 and $5,000 for the packages, you know? So it wasn't a cheap thing to get into. And so, you know, I went home and begged the wife and said, "This is kind of the future. I think this is the future of filming. We got to kind of get in early." And she said, "Go for it." So off we went and crashed a few of those, and you know, and we kind of went from there. You know, those ones you kind of threw, the props got thrown off of them, and you know, they lost signal like really easily. So it was, you know, and she's kind of, as I'm kind of dropping money into drones, she's kind of going, I hope this works out. And next thing you know, Glide Aerials was created. So
that's hilarious because I like to make fun of two drones on this planet more than any other drones. One of them is the GoPro Karma. As for obvious reasons, because it literally just fell from the sky. And the other one is the Phantom 2. Because the Phantom 2, the difference between the Phantom 2 and the Phantom 3 was astronomical.
Mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing, because the Phantom 2 had a mind of its own. Like, you be flying it, and it's like, no, I'm going this way now. I'm just going to just fly. Yeah. And that's what would happen. And you're just like, did I just lose my drone and my GoPro? It's like, yeah, you did. And where did it go? Nobody knows. There was no such thing as visual observers back then either.
Yeah. That was still kind of the Wild West, so it was a good fun time.
Definitely, it was definitely interesting to say the least. Yeah. Well, you speak of the Wild West. I want to know, is every drone pilot has a collection of stories, you know, where you're just like, hey, this is one of my stories where I learned a valuable lesson, in drone flight. So like for me. For example, the other day I learned a valuable lesson that I decided to take a drone up when it was misty outside. And when I took it up, I found, first of all, do not fly your drone when it's heavily misty. It's a bad idea. But I did it to figure out why. It was a test, an experiment of why that is. And I got it up and realized that the bottom sensors of the drone get activated when there's a bunch of mist in the air, which means you can't really descend after you take off. And so you take off, the drone gets up there, and then it's just like, all right, cool, the ground's here, and it descends so slow. You can ascend all you want, but it descends really slow, and it's extremely difficult to get it back to yourself. And I was like, okay, that wasn't worth it. Not even close. And so that's like a small lesson I learned, and there's been much harsher lessons I've learned. But if you have any times or any stories of something like, hey, this is something I learned on set or something I learned as a pilot that was that I've had to move forward with. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, one of my harshest lessons was. Not recently, but within the last couple of years, we got booked on a really big HBO show. And so my business partner Jimmy and I were going to head out there. But at the same time, we had a few other shows, so we were kind of short on equipment because we have a bunch of Inspire 2s, but everybody needs a main drone for their flying bird, and they also need a backup drone because you never know what's going to happen with that thing, right? And so we were short of equipment, so we had a drone and a backup drone on other jobs, and we went without a backup drone. And when we got there, it wouldn't take off, and the motor had gotten broken somewhere between the flight.
Jimmy told this exact same story.
Yeah, I mean it's the one heart attack I think we've ever had. So, all I can say is when you have a big client going, okay, we're ready to go shoot now, and you got to kind of say, listen, we've had an incident and I don't have a backup with me. So luckily in that incident I think we were in Idaho or somewhere in middle America, close enough to a major city. We ended up finding a backup drone through another guy that came in and kind of saved the day for us. So, but it ended up costing us a bunch of money because we had to rent this drone.
I bet it did.
Yeah. So, I mean, all I can say, like my biggest thing as a drone op is have your equipment and have a backup always, because the most embarrassing moment can be the one when you tell your client, I'm sorry, I can't fly for you today.
Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
that's interesting, because that's really good advice. Is always to have some kind of redundancy when you're flying. If you look at like actual aviation pilots and anybody like helicopters, anything like that, there's always a system of redundancy. And with drones, unfortunately, a lot of the times it kind of has to be a second drone. Even on the Inspire 2, it has 2 batteries just so that it can, in case one of the batteries fails, which does happen, then you still can get the drone down safely. Speaking of which, I have 2 interesting questions for you, and they're kind of similar. But one of them is, what is your favorite drone? And also, the second question is, what would you say is the industry standard drone and why?
I have to say right now our favorite drone is Inspire 2. It's definitely our workhorse. We have the heavy lifters, but we've found over the years, kind of as Inspire 2 has improved its camera platform, that the client seems to like the ease and ability of us to be able to get the Inspire 2 up quickly and throw it into the back of a car and move on and move fast, which, as you know, in production is the number one kind of thing. It's like time is money. So definitely, I think the Inspire 2 with the X7 setup right now, we're on the Sundance controllers with the patch antennas, and we found
Crystal Skies?
Actually, we found that we like the iPads better than the Crystal Skies.
Thank you. Okay, I'll get in arguments about that.
They're more efficient. They don't freeze up like the Crystal. The Crystal Skies crash a little too much for us, so we've kind of moved on.
And they're hard to use the touchscreen, right?
Yeah, I'm right with you on this one, sir. Save your money on that one. Spend your $200-300 on an iPad and save your $700 on your 7-inch high brightness Crystal Sky, because the iPad's much more efficient. So that's definitely our favorite bird. We have a bunch of them that we are send all over the place. So we definitely. I'm sorry. What was the second question again?
So you kind of answered both of them in one, but I'm going to make you answer one of them separately. And say, outside of the Inspire 2, what would you say is your favorite drone? Just outside like a personal drone.
Outside of the Inspire 2?
When you travel outside of work.
I gotta say, I've really been loving the little Cinewhoop Squirt version 2 that we've been flying around right now.
Ooh,
it's
really?
And we're starting a new division, a Cinewhoop division. We want to, everybody wants the high speed, close, acrobatic type of stuff right now. So Jimmy and I have been playing with those. And just to put those goggles on and go into a whole other world where you're going that fast, it kind of takes me out of my real slow, smooth, kind of buttery, get those butter shots to just like zinging through trees. And so we've really been having fun with those. But as far as a cinematic drone, I'd say the Mavic Pro 2 has got to be in the pocket, as far as a smaller, just something to grab and go and, shoot whatever you want on it. Mavic Pro 2 has been great as well. But I'm having a lot of fun with the Cinewhoops right now.
That's awesome. I have a Cinewhoop too, actually. It was given to me by my friend David, who works with Newbie Drone, and he just kept giving me all these tiny Cinewhoops just to play with, and they are so intense.
Yeah.
Because you put it in full acro mode, and it's just like it's having to relearn how to fly again, which is kind of like falling in love with flying.
And that's kind of the fun of it. Like, every stick is a different direction now, so you're retraining yourself, and Jimmy and I have just been zipping around with this thing and just having a blast. So.
Well, look, I don't want to hold you up for too long, but there is a really important question, one more last question that's really important for me. That's a huge debate in the drone community, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Are you a thumber or are you a pincher?
I'm a thumber.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. That's a good choice.
I'm a thumber.
Why do you have a different, why are you thumbing instead of pinching?
I just find I have a little more control with the thumb. It allows me to feather it a little bit more. As far as with gimbal control, it's all about being smooth and steady, and I find I just have a little more control with my thumb. And I'm able to and when I'm flying, I'm able to feather it into those really slow kind of flight zones where it becomes really cinematic, and we like that speed. So I'm a thumb guy.
Thank you.
What about you?
I'm a thumber.
Like you're a thumb guy too.
All day. I'm a thumber.
Right. Definitely.
Because Wolfgang, right? Wolfgang Weber, the other drone pilot.
We
he's
fly
a
with him
pincher.
a lot. He's
yes,
a feature.
he's a great drone pilot, but he would be so much better if he could just understand.
Shout out,
that
Wolfgang. We're going to get you to become a thumber, Wolfgang. Yeah, if you're watching, buddy. All right.
Oh, that guy. And he's been flying FPV lately, too, and he keeps just texting me, talking junk about how he can outfly me. So we'll see, Wolfgang. We will see.
I think maybe we should all get together and see, and we'll put it to the test. We'll get Wolfgang and you and I out in the park, and Jimmy's actually much better than it. He's had a little more time with it than I have, and I have to give it to him. Like, any Cinewhoop job is going to him at this point, but I'm trying to catch up to him.
Are you using, I know I'm asking, now you got me curious. Are you using any of the flight simulators to practice instead of just flying all the time?
Yeah, we're using that, what is it, the DRL Race League. I think it's on Stream or, but
Steam?
we found, on Steam, yeah, sorry. That we found that one's like the closest one, and like, as when we were building it, Jimmy kind of got on that one, and he's like, this is the one, I think that, and so he's kind of gone through those and found that the DRL one was kind of the best on Steam.
All right, cool. I mean, that's the one I've been playing on too. It's pretty crazy how accurate that is and how much it's like legit practice time. Like I'd say it's like 85% of accuracy of like what it's like to actually fly FPV.
I agree, and zero consequences, right? Like, so.
Oh yeah. That's the best part. You don't have to change batteries. You know, like you crash into something. Like,
you don't have to break frames or.
Exactly.
So.
So the best place to find you is either Instagram is at Glide Aerials, www.glideaerials.com, right?
Yep. Or you can hit us up on email, info@glideaerials.com. If you have any questions or you're just interested in kind of what we're doing, you want to get involved, we'd love to hear from you.
And he said he's looking for VOs. So anybody out there saying, how do I get into the drone industry? Being a visual observer is by far the best because you're going to learn all the technical aspect of the drone. You will be the one probably building most of it with obviously supervision from someone like Jimmy or Trevor. Here, but otherwise it's like your job is really to learn, listen, and watch. And I think there's no better place you can be on a drone or film set wanting to be a drone pilot than to be a VO. That's the first time anybody's given me that advice before. I didn't even think about that. That's actually excellent advice that I'm gonna be stealing from you.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've never been on a professional film set, it's no joke, and there's a lot of etiquette that goes on the film set that you may not know, and I think the best way to learn is just to get out there, and as you said, just you're there to watch and listen and observe, and you can really learn a lot really quickly.
Definitely, and what you just said is awesome. You just like dropping knowledge, like you like drop gems like they're nothing. You're like, yeah, there's a lot of etiquette. Like film set etiquette is a whole thing that you can make or break the entire job, regardless of how good of a drone cinematographer you are, regardless of how good of whatever you are on that set. If you don't understand the set etiquette and what you're supposed to do or where you're supposed to be and when, why, and like all that stuff, you can literally ruin all of your opportunities to work with everybody there just because you don't know it. So being with somebody like Glide Aerials, like Trevor, maybe like myself or Jimmy, and who can show you the ropes is a huge advantage and huge leg up than somebody just being brought into a film set for the first time, expecting to know what's going to go on and making mistakes that are easily avoidable.
Yeah, you may think it's a big world, but word of mouth travels really fast in our industry, and one bad thing can kind of destroy you. So, you know, it's just important to go out there and put your best foot forward every time you go out there. So,
I couldn't agree more. Well, Trevor, thank you, man. I really appreciate you making the time. We already said how to find you, brother. Once again, I said, thank you, sir. You're the man.
Oh, thank you. We love doing anything with you. And as I said, he says we're above him, but he's right there. We're equal. So there's no, don't let him fool you, folks. Don't let him fool you. He's being a little humble for once. So
he even has a hat. Like, you see this? He has a hat for the. I don't have a hat for what I do. Either way, I will take your compliments, sir. Thank you. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure if you have any questions that you guys want me to ask of any other future drone cinematographers or Glide Aerials, leave them in the comments. This has been Dronr Tech Interviews, brought to you by RemotePilot101.com. And make sure you stay fly.